Welcome to Law of Attraction in Action. Thank you so much for joining me on my podcast. My name is Michelle Joy, and I am your host. And today is our Monday solo session where I get to inspire you to use the law of attraction in your everyday life in hopes that it will change where you're at and understand how to use it and be inspired and all those fun things. So I also want to share with you, I do share this podcast on YouTube. So if you want to watch it there, I will post the link here on the show notes. But for those of you who are just listening or just want to get information, I'm so happy you're here. I also want to do a shout out to all the people who've reached out to me, and I want you to continue to reach out to me. I do respond. I love hearing from you. And if you go to my website, you connect to all my social links because I've had people connect to me on Instagram and Facebook, and I love having messages from you guys, and I want to be able to better serve you. So if there's something you're dying to hear about or trying to understand around the law of attraction, send me an email. I've been teaching law of attraction for over 7 years. I taught it every other week for a long, long time. And I have a lot of passion and information in me, and I love to share. So if there's something you want to hear about, please reach out. And again, I do respond. So again, thank you for listening. And thank you for supporting this podcast. Literally, we are all over the world. I'm just blown away. In fact, I counted it the other day, and we're being heard in over 50 countries. That's 50. And what I love about that is everyone around the world wants a better life and they want to be happy, and law of attraction is the place to have it. So I'm so excited that you are all here and supporting this podcast, because the more we learn about this, the more we can help living in our best lives, and then we inspire others. And there's lots of you out there who are leaders too, who are out there to teach this stuff too. There cannot be enough of us, because there is a lot of people who don't know about law of attraction, as many of you probably know in your world. Even though my world, I'm surrounded by it, but that's because this is what I teach and it's my passion. So, but today I wanted to talk to you about meditation and how amazingly life-changing and how important it is to meditate. And I know a lot of people who I tell this to. Some people meditate and like, oh yeah, I totally get it. But other people are like, I don't know. It's just too hard to sit down. My voice is sure too loud. I don't know. So I thought I would do a quick podcast on the reasons why meditation is so helpful. And again, I'm not the only one, but I just want to share some of my own stories so I can help inspire you to sit down somewhere, anywhere, whether it's for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour. I usually do 20 minutes a day, and I have been doing that. I've been meditating for, now it's probably at least 10 years. And it's just been amazing. So one thing I do share some of this in my book too, Thrive and Shine, How to Find Happiness When Life Falls Apart. And I'm also working on an online course, and I give some tips and tools on that too, just as a side note. But for this podcast, I want to inspire you to understand the power of meditation and why it is so life-changing and why it is so helpful when it comes to manifesting and law of attraction. So first, let me tell you about my experience around meditation. Is when I started meditating, I was highly intimidated by it because my go-to was denial. I lived in denial. I was really good at denial. That's how I survived my life so far. Is I didn't want to look at my life. It was just easier to pretend it wasn't there, pretend all my shame and all my vulnerabilities and insecurities. I just didn't want to look at it. And after my divorce, I knew I had to change that because I got myself in this really bad situation and I didn't want to be there anymore. So I started to meditate. Now, again, starting meant reading books. I meant going to classes. I went to Zen Buddhism, meditation classes. I went to Tibetan meditation classes. So that one, Zen is when you stare at a wall. Tibetan is when you meditate with your eyes open. I read lots of books on it. I thought about it. I got my whole meditation room ready, but I wouldn't go sit. I wouldn't. I don't know why. Well, I know why. It's because I was scared. But this is why I want to do this, because if anyone out there is listening to this and is scared, like, just trust me. Trust me. It is life-changing. So what I ended up doing after fumbling around and not willing to do it, I finally said, okay, enough's enough. I'm going to sit here and do it. So when I started doing it, I try to do the counting to numbers. I count to 10, and every time I lose my self to thought, I'd have to start over. I rarely made it to 3. I stared at a candle. I stared at a rose. I tried lots of things. And so that's another thing I want you all to know. It doesn't have to be what anybody tells you it needs to be. It needs to be right for you. So what I ended up doing is I listened to meditation music. And it wasn't just like, I didn't like any words. It's just more music, more like type music. I really like that. And that's when I started to really get deeper into this meditation practice. So again, there's lots of tips and tools around meditation, but I just want to share with you why you should do it more than the tools. But so when I kept meditating, after just 3 months, I had a spiritual awakening. And what that looked like for me was I was going in a little deeper than usual. And I may have mentioned this in another podcast, but I'm excited to share it again. But I went into my meditation in a little deeper than usual. But what I saw was like the slither of a light. And this light, it was like a slither. I can't even tell you how small it was. But that light in itself was the most powerful, loving energy I've ever felt, ever. Like ever. You can't even explain how beautiful it was. And in that light, I found myself being drawn into this truth of who I really am. It was like, oh, there you are. Like, it's like, it truly was an awakening, because I went in and I felt that love and I felt that power and that divine energy that was just, it's not even describable. It really isn't. And when I say a slither, that's how indescribable it is, because I felt such a powerful force rush through me. Like it took my breath away. It made me cry, because I was just blown away that this little bit of light was my truth. And I did not see it my whole life since I've been on this earth. At this point, I was, I think, 36 years old. I never saw this light, this powerful feeling. And so in that moment, it was almost like I was downloaded everything that I was supposed to do in this life, but I couldn't really put words on it. I couldn't even describe it. All I know is I got the feeling of what I was supposed to do. So ever since that time, which again was in 2011, when that flew through, that energy flew through me, I could never see life the same again. In fact, when I came out of it, I was an energy, like I was skyrocketing with energy, like I was out of control. And it was the most powerful feeling. And I started reading loads of books on near-death experience, because I had experienced the same feelings they had when they had a near-death experience. It's this sense of this amazing love towards everything. Like there was no limit between me and them. There was this amazing amount of beauty in everything. The greens were greener, the blues were bluer. And this powerful drive, this love that was in me made me absolutely fearless. And it just pulled me. So, I teach all of this because this is part of my path. This is why I was put on this earth. But I didn't know this until I sat down and started meditating. So I know a lot of you who, or a lot of people have found their awakenings through meditation, and other people find their awakenings just, random times. And it could be a near-death experience, and then they have their awakening. But to me, meditation is that place that all of us can tap into. So another reason, and this is another good story I want to share with you, is when you meditate, you learn to be present in the moment. You learn that your thoughts are controllable. See, the thing is, most people don't realize that we have control of our thoughts. We let our thoughts control us. And with law of attraction, you want to control your thoughts, because whatever you put into your mind goes into your subconscious, and whatever we think over and over and over again, that's how we attract into our life. So through law of attraction. So the goal is to understand our thoughts. So when we meditate, we see our thoughts for what they are, and we now have control over them. And so meditation, it is a practice. It's not something you do once. You're like, okay, why am I not getting it? It takes time. Like I said, it took me 3 months to have my spiritual awakening, and which is really quite miraculous in many ways that even happened to me. I'm very grateful that happened to me. But I do think that when you are present in the moment, you have that direct downloads, that direct, the connection to the divine energy, to divine inspiration is directly downloaded to you when you are present in the moment. Because when you're in the moment, you clear your mind. That's why when you meditate, you clear your mind. You try to, of course, it's not easy, but you learn to see those thoughts as just thoughts, and then they start being more of a side note, and then you open up this portal to this divine inspiration. And so I get my best ideas when I'm meditating. I know a lot of people do, every time. In fact, I didn't meditate for a while, and I got really depressed. My older son took over my meditation room. That's my excuse. But I ended up taking my meditation room back, and I started meditating again. That was January of last year. And I finally got the courage a couple months later to quit my job to finally do what I love, which is what I do now. So meditation has always been that place where I get inspiration, where I am able to see what my thoughts are, to see the toxic thoughts, to learn about my thoughts. I actually did a lot of internal growth. I did a lot of really understanding my pain, because I was not running away from it. That's how we heal. We heal when we see the pain, when we see our shadows, when we see our dark sides. That's when we heal. And so meditation also helped me heal wounds that I was not able to heal with years of therapy. So again, so many reasons for it. Not everybody has a spiritual awakening, but it's definitely in the cards if you start meditating, because you get that divine inspiration. You get the divine inspiration for ideas. You start to see that your thoughts are controllable, and you start to believe that you are just this amazing divine being, because when you meditate, you start to connect into that empty space. And I know Eckhart Tolle and all of these very well-known people, of course, they advocate for this, and I'm just sharing you my own journey, because we all have our own journeys. But if you are teetering on, should I meditate or not? I'm telling you, yes, you should. And even, again, if it's just for 10 minutes every day, even if you feel like you're not doing it perfect, that's okay. And it really is something that is personal. I don't believe you need to do what everybody tells you to do. Do what works for you. And again, for me, as I do my own, listen to music, and I use meditation as a way to connect with spirit. And I have to also tell you all, when I had my spiritual awakening, I never believed in God. I was more like in Buddhism, and I really liked those ideas. But when I had my spiritual awakening, I went into not believing in God, into knowing God. And when I say knowing God, God is the universal loving energy. And that's how I see it. But I knew it. I know it so much in my bones, and even as a hospice nurse, when I was working with dying patients, I knew that I was sending them home. And I always felt like I was a midwife to the next life. I never felt like I was helping people die, because I don't believe we just die. I believe we go on. So I believe that so much because of meditation. So I hope this helps you. Again, if you are meditating, good for you. Keep going. And you could probably get as excited about it as I am, because I'm sure you've had amazing effects. If you've not meditated yet, just try it. Again, if you want to reach out to me for support, I'm always there for you. And just find some classes. And I also, by the way, have a lot of free guided meditations on my website. I do one on wealth. I do one on health. I do one on connecting with our inner child. And I'm always making others. So check that out on my website at michelle-joy.com. That's MICHELE-JOY.com. And I hope you enjoyed this solo session. I hope you got a lot out of it. And again, I would love to hear from you if you do, or I'd love for you to share this podcast, rate the podcast. Definitely share with others you think people who could be helped by this. And I really appreciate all of you all over the world for listening. And I hope you have a wonderful day and happy manifesting.